The grumbler. Grumbling is undue censure of one's portion. The grumbler is one who, when his friend has sent him a present from his table, will say to the bearer, "You grudge me my soup and my poor wine, or you would have asked me to dinner." He will annoyed with Zeus, not for not raining, but for raining too late. And if he finds a purse on the road, "Ah," he will say, "but I have never found the treasure." When he has bought a slave cheap after much coaxing of the seller, "It is strange," he will remark, "if I have got a sound lot such a bargain." To one who brings him good news, "A son is born to you," he will reply. If you add that I have lost half my property, you will speak the truth. When he has won a lawsuit by a unanimous verdict, he will find fault when the composer of his speech for having left out several points in his case. If a subscription has been raised for him by his friends, and someone says to him, "Cheer up," "Cheer up," he will answer, "when I have to refund his money to every man and to be grateful besides, as if I had been done a service." The distrustful man. Distrustfulness is a presumption that all men are unjust. The distrustful man is one who, having sent his slave to market, will send another to ascertain what price he gave. He will carry his money himself and sit down every 200 yards to count it. He will ask his wife in bed if she has locked the wardrobe, if the cupboard has been sealed and the bolt put upon the hall door. And if the reply is yes, not the less will he forsake the blankets, and light the lamp and run about shirtless and shoeless to inspect all these matters, and barely thus find sleep. He will demand his interest from his creditors in the presence of witnesses, to prevent the possibility of their repudiating debt. He is apt also to send his cloak to be cleaned, not to the best workman, but whenever he finds sterling security for the fuller. When anyone comes to ask the loans of cups, he will, if possible, refuse. But if perchance it is an intimate friend or relation, he will almost essay the cups in the fire and weigh them, and do everything but take security before he lends them. Also, he will order his slave, when he attends him, to walk in front and not behind, as a precaution against his running away in the street. To persons who have bought something of him and say, "How much is it? Enter it in your books, for I am too busy to send the money yet," he will reply, "Do not trouble yourself, you are not at leisure, I will accompany you." The offensive man. Offensiveness is distressing neglect of person. The offensive man is one who will go about with a scrofulous or leprous affection, or with his nails overgrown, and say that these are hereditary complaints with him. His father had them and his grandfather, and it is not easy to be smuggled into his family. He will use rancid oil to anoint himself at the bath, and will go forth into the marketplace wearing a thick tunic and a very light cloak, covered with stains. The unpleasant man. Unpleasantness may be defined as a mode of address which gives harmless annoyance. The unpleasant man is one who will come in and awake a person who has just gone to sleep, in order to chat with him. He will detain people who are on the very point of sailing. Indeed, he will go up to them and request them to wait until he has taken a stroll. He will take his child from the nurse and feed it from his own mouth, and chirp endearments to it, calling it Papa's little rascal. He is apt also to ask before his relations, "Tell me, Mommy, when you were bringing me into the world, how went the time?" He will say that he has cool cistern water at his house, and a garden with many fine vegetables, and a cook who understands dressed dishes. His house, he will say, is a perfect inn, always crammed, and his friends are like the pierced cask. He can never fill them with his benefits. Also, when he entertains, he will show off the qualities of his parasite to his guests, and will say too, in an encouraging tone over the wine, that the amusement of the company has been provided for.